First of all, it's fun following Jim Green because he's a great visionary and it's a lot of fun. And actually, I work for him and he's done some really great and creative things. And so, one, it's wonderful to be here too because the Mars Society has really been an advocate for many, many years of getting us to Mars. And I know it's a long road, but you know, I think all of us sense that there's a tremendous momentum beginning to build in that direction, which is incredibly exciting. And so as we go through this pitch today, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're doing on the, essentially what I call the integrated side, which is a combination of human spaceflight and science and tech development at NASA to just get us going there even faster. And then I'm counting on you all for questions because that's really key to all of this, and I welcome it during the pitch too. So if you have one, just throw it, I'll try to get to you. Before I want to get too buried into this, I want to talk about two sort of themes that we've learned already starting doing the landing site selection process for where we're going to set up a base on Mars. And the first theme is Mars is hard. You hear people say that all the time, but you know what? I spent probably years training shuttle crews. That was in a flight controller and rendezvous. I was then got sent over to Russia for 3 years. I'm not sure it's a good thing. It was actually a great experience to see the Russian program and the amazing things that they do. And then ended up started doing Mars stuff. And you know, Mars is hard, but it's entirely doable. And I would actually even argue now, having done the landing site stuff and all the other stuff we're doing right now, that it's really a belief issue. And you got to keep getting out there, getting the message out, developing the ideas like you guys do. And then, you know, we can get, you know, we will overcome that belief issue, and it will actually happen. It will probably happen faster than many of us think from today, if you just this point in time. The second thing which I really would like to mention is what I call paradigms. I spent 12, 13 years in the Houston Flight Control Room as a Capcom and I would say that if you're sitting in the Houston Flight Control Room, if you had sort of a thing you say, it would be, in space is dangerous, on the surface is safe. In space is dangerous, on the surface is safe. And you know what? It's funny, a lot of times my counterparts who, you know, maybe don't know Mars as well yet, I'll have to put that yet there, when they think about sending crews to Mars, they actually will take that paradigm and drop it right in the Martian system and say, in space is dangerous, you know, on the surface is safe. And it's interesting because when you really, you know, as you all know, when you really get to know that planet, it's a really cool place, but it's really dangerous. And in fact, it's probably more dangerous than being in space, given everything we know about being in space right now. I have no doubt about our ability, having spent many, many years in an ISS flight control room, about our ability to keep people alive and productive in space. I do have doubts, or not big, doubts may be the wrong word, but the point being is that, you know, there are things we have to learn about Mars still to get this done, and you'll see that during this pitch. And the key point here is that in the landing site process that I'm getting ready to describe to you, it has really essentially been completely open. Anyone can propose landing sites. You know, anyone can come to the workshops. We count on that because it's only by getting all those perspectives in one place that we can beat out a set of ideas that are actually robust and that work, you know, in a place as foreign as Mars will be for us initially. And so it's those paradigms that we kind of slip into pretty easily that we really need ideas to make sure we do it. And finally, I would even go so far as to say, it's not NASA going to Mars. And as one of the great questions that Jim got asked, it's the humans going to Mars. And really, we need everybody engaged. And I have no doubt that the Mars Society has been advocating for this for years. But everyone engaged to help beat out those ideas so that we don't slip into paradigms that don't work. So with that little long-winded preamble, I will get going here. At NASA headquarters, I should mention, what I do is I'm actually what they call an assistant director for science and exploration, but it's essentially a liaison job to other, like the human spaceflight side. I came out of the human spaceflight side, but I'm in the science house right now, which has really been a tremendous experience. And so we work heavily with the human spaceflight side and the technology development side to try to really figure out how we integrate this stuff and make it happen even faster. And then we have the landing site efforts that I'm getting ready to describe. And the point being is that all this, you know, it's all messy, you know, but you know what? ISS when we started was messy. Apollo was messy when we started, you know, and then they start getting to the phase that I actually think we're beginning to enter now where they start really systematically figuring out how to go do this thing. And so it's these ideas that are really key for making that happen. And let's see if I can figure out how to make this work. I love this picture for a couple reasons. One, going to Mars is a societal effort, and so I love the fact that it's coming from the movie The Martian. It's actually cool because you see a human being and it feels real on Mars, and then you see an interplay even between robots there. Someone asked a great question of Jim, what the robotic missions. A lot of times people think robotic missions, it's a serial thing. That robots go, then humans go, and then that's sort of the sequence. And the reality, as Jim alluded to, it's this, robots may go first, but when humans get there, we're going to be sending robots all over the place. On the 2020 rover, we're looking real hard right now at flying the first ever airplane. It'll be a helicopter on board that thing, and that'll be really key for actually extending the reach of human beings in terms of what they can do on that planet. And so that's exciting, I think. But it's those kind of things, and evolutions are key. So it's this interplay between humans and machines. And the agency is really focusing more and more on the whole Mars thing. It's really neat to see that building. And I'm not going to mince words. It's a little messy, but that's the way things go when you're starting something brand new that people haven't done before. I haven't quite figured out there. So I show this chart. I wonder if I can walk around any. So this looks, the idea here is that there are all these efforts underway. You have the space station. The space station is really amazing. You have a, do I need to stay over here? Okay.
Let's make this easy.
All the better. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So, the key point here is you have the space station. We've learned a ton. There was a great question previously about international stuff. I'll tell you, when the Columbia accident occurred, who was calling us before almost anybody else? It was our Russian counterparts, because they had been through similar accidents. And so this idea of internationals going and being there and backing each other up is amazing. And it will apply to Mars. You have the SLS, and then you have the Orion spacecraft. And then ultimately you have this phase over here, which is in the Mars vicinity. It is amazing that we've had 50 years of robotic explorers, if you count the first orbiter at Mars, and that we really have learned a ton. If John Grunsfeld, who was the Associate Administrator for the Science Mission Directorate,